on the Wado Radio Show.
Yes, man, of course, it's DJ Wado. It's the Wado Radio Show. It's more than music. It is ministry, and we have a vet. It's been quite some time since we've had him on the show, but I think to this day, he remains the only person to ever successfully take over the Wado Radio Show. I don't even know if you remember that, man. The K-Drama, what's up, brother?
Man, what's going on? Of course I remember that.
I'm going back in the archives. You redid the intro song, everything, bro.
Man, that was fun. I'm about to put that on Throwback Thursday one of these weeks. For real.
Oh, my goodness, man. How you been, bro?
Man, I've been blessed, man. I can't complain. I've been just holding down the fort and trying to do this music thing still. So it's been good. It's been cool.
Well, you know, man, one of the things, I was going to wait to get into this, but this might be a good time to get into it, bro. I feel like your longevity in this scene is not appreciated the way that it probably should. And I feel like, bro, you probably have so much wisdom that you can share with younger artists coming up on how to just keep this mug going, bro, because you've been doing this. You was doing this before I got in the game, bro. And you know what I'm saying? You still going strong. You know what I mean? You in Florida right now doing a show. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I'm honored by your words, for real. I do feel like I could contribute, just cause I've been not only doing Christian rap, but being a part of the movement, for so long. Like I go back to A1 Swift, and I know A1 Swift, they weren't the first to do it, but they were pretty big in our city. So we had a pretty big Christian hip hop scene. You know, I'm 8 years old. I'm listening to Bone Thugs 1 minute, and I'm listening to A1 Swift on the other minute. Wow. So I mean, I feel like I could really bless this younger generation that's coming up with some wisdom that I do have about the movement.
Yeah, man. I mean, what's been some of your keys to be able to stick around, be relevant, and continue to do what you're doing, bro? So
I think one of the things is just being humble. And it's not something that I like boast in. Like, I think it's almost an oxymoron to say that you're humble, but, it's one of the things
but
that
you are, though. I mean, let me put it to you like this, bro. This is the first time I've actually heard you say you're humble, and people have been saying you're humble for years, bro. So you ain't boasting in it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's encouraging for real, because I try, man. I try to be humble, and it's hard because, you know, Christian hip hop, I feel like it falls into some of the evils that it comes from. You know, being that hip hop was the genre that a lot of us were influenced by. Like, it's rare that somebody never heard, you know, worldly hip hop and then just all of a sudden dived into Christian rap. And so I feel like a lot of times with the culture, it's like some things after we got saved, they didn't dive with the culture. It's like, for real, to be honest, like I see a lot of pride in Christian hip hop. And so I think that is a reason why a lot of times you look at the different time, not time zones, but you look at the timeline and you see certain rappers fall off, and then you hear about these stories where they weren't humble, where they weren't, you know, walking in humility, and especially in these days, because people can touch you, people can reach out to you. You got Facebook, you got Twitter, you got all these different mediums now that the fans can touch you. And one thing I try to do is I try to talk to everybody I can without jeopardizing my home life. Like, if somebody reaches out to me, I try my best, you know, to, even if it's not a long response, and even if I respond super late, you know, I live and die by the rule that late is better than never in this business. People appreciate, you know, just a simple hello or a thank you. It goes a long way. And so I think that's one of the big things that's kept me in this thing over the years.
Yeah, that's good, man. And I was gonna say your music production, I think, even apart from being an artist, has always given you just like a whole other dimension. I mean, listen, you won the Rapzilla Beat Battle this year. You know what I mean? Which is like, when you think about it, you're like, man, this dude is such a vet, and the fact that you would even still do that and then win it, Like, it just says a lot about you, bro.
Yeah, I felt, to be honest, I felt like I had to do that. To be honest, and it's kind of funny how that came about. I actually did not sign up for the beat battle. I was requested to do it. I think there wasn't enough producers. I think that was just kind of looking back. I was afraid to do it because I'm like, I appreciate and I respect, even if I don't know the names of some of these producers. Yeah. I realized that, man, there are a lot of nice producers, especially in today's age of Christian hip hop. You look back 10, 15 years ago, I remember the average beat I heard, like if you hear, songs submitted to Rapzilla or different, back when the South was before Jam the Hype and other sites, you would hear these songs, and I would hear these songs. I was like, that beat kind of whack. Like, but nowadays, I'm telling you, I go down my SoundCloud, and the average song is decent. It's kind of scary, and so I feel like just the quality has gotten better. And so for me, like when I got into the beat battle, I didn't walk in that thing like, man, I got this in the bag. Like I was like, yo, I got to bring my A game to a whole nother level. And so that's why, like, when on the first round, the first song I came out with was Mortal Kombat. I'm like, I'm about to annihilate this dude. Not because I feel like I'm the best producer in the tournament. I'm like, yo, this dude might be going after my neck. And so I can't just be like, yo, it's like a dunk contest. It's like some people save their best dunks for last. I'm like, I need to do a 360s, you know what I'm saying, from the gate. So, I mean, I felt like that because, even though I produced for a lot of guys, to be honest, a lot of the guys that I produced for in 2015 and 2016, 2014, it's been the independent artists, and no shade on that because that's what keeps me in business, over these years. It's not the Lecrae placements. It's not the Tadashi placements. It's all of these indie artists from all over the world that pay $150 for a beat. That's what keeps me feeding my kids. Wow. But to be honest, I get more pleasure. Like when I produced Got Paper for Lecrae and I heard it for the first time on MySpace.com, check that, MySpace.com. Yeah. When I heard it on that, it was my first time hearing it, and I was just blown away because Lecrae is such a dope artist. When I produced for Flame, and I heard that song, when I heard Hold On for the first time, I was blown away. And I can't tell you to be like, and I think people see where I'm coming from, but like, I don't get blown away often anymore when I do beats for people. And I want that feeling again. And so I felt like I got to get in this beat battle to show people like, yo, I haven't like went backwards. Like I'm current. I'm relevant. I feel like my sound has gotten better. I've invested over $15,000 in my studio. I'm doing that for a reason. Yeah. Like, wow. And so getting in the beat battle for me, I was trying to make a statement for real.
Wow. That's quite a statement you made, brother.
Well, I appreciate it. For real, man. For real. Straight up.
Which one do you like more? Which one do you enjoy more? Being an artist, rapping, or being a producer and making beats?
So I
or engineer. Really good... And people forget you be engineering too.
So all right, I'll here's how I look at the three. Like definitely engineering is my least favorite. That's the one I would probably pass off if I had more money in my budget. Like It's one of them. Yep. I really just engineer because people say I'm good at it, and I know I can do it. But I'd rather be like a CEO, so to say, like from a perspective of I know how to do everything, but I delegate. I would rather be really good at a few things than try to do everything and just be average. And so, but I realized producing and making clever songs, that's my niche. And so, I enjoy rapping because I really feel like I look at things from a totally different lens than the average person. I feel like that's something God has gifted me with. Like, I can watch a movie with 10 people and I will leave the theater with a different, outlook on what that movie was about. Whereas, or not whereas, but I use that element in my music. So like, for instance, my new single, Arthur Agee, like I'm watching Hoop Dreams and I'm like, yo, that would be a dope song. Like, I'm not like ooh, this is my next Air Jordan, or this is, this next hit. I'm just like, yo, I just want to make music. And so watching that documentary did that for me. But production, what I really enjoy about production is there's no filters I have to go through. There's no, I guess, theology that I have to cling to when making a beat, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like I can make a beat without worrying about, am I compromising the scriptures or not? Cause I come from that era where, you can't collab with a certain artist unless you believe a certain way. That's the era I come from. And so in music production, it's such a freedom. There's such a liberty. I can use whatever sound I want. I can get as creative as I want. And I think that's why I enjoy production, but I really enjoy the both together. Like when I can just produce a song from start to finish, that's like the total, package for me. It's really like doing one without the other in my world. It's like something's missing. But when I can do them both together, and especially with another artist, that's when I feel like it's really being lived out to its fullest potential.
Is it hard for you to allow someone else to produce for you?
No, not at all. But it doesn't happen often because I'm really hard on myself. I have a lot of quality control. Even if at the end of the day, whatever I put out, someone wasn't feeling, at the end of the day, I can stand by. I can be like, well, he doesn't like it, but I like it because of these 5 factors. Yep. And so for me, whenever somebody else tries to produce for me, I think the problem that a lot of producers run into is they try to send me something that they think I'd rap to. When the problem is, I try to tell producers from the gate, I'm like, don't try to put me in a box. Send me a East Coast beat. Send me a West Coast beat. Send me a trap beat. Just send me something dope versus trying to figure out what I'm gonna like, because I can't really explain why I like certain things. It's just something about a beat that just gets me. Now, of course, the quality has to be good and whatnot, but I'm so eclectic. Like I grew up on Mars Hill. I grew up on Fanatic. I grew up on Grape Tree. You put them 3 together, it's like, huh? Like you wouldn't think a fan of one would be a fan of the other, right? But I'm a fan of all these different genres, and I like country music. I like bluegrass music, because I've performed. I love music, so I've performed at churches where there were bluegrass bands, and I was the only rapper. I've been the only rapper at a 20 rock band event and killed it. And so that's why you can't put me in a box, because whenever I go to these events, I'm taking notes and I'm like, oh man, I should add a guitar like that in one of my new beats. And so that's where I'm at with that.
That's good, man. This new project, The Eighth, man.
Yeah, man.
I was sitting there, I was like, this is K-Drama's 8th album?
I know, right?
That's crazy, bro.
Time flies.
Man, so what can people expect from this project, man, that drops next week?
So the project, definitely my most heartfelt, and I say that every time, but
I was going to say, brother, you one of the most heartfelt people I know.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I really wear my heart on my sleeve, and it really a lot of the questions that you've asked, relate to my album. Like I talk about just kind of the last 3 years of my life. Like I dropped Winds and Waves back in 2013, and I had some cool things that happened with that, but afterwards it seemed like I went through just a spiral to the point where I didn't know if I was going to do Christian rap anymore. I didn't know if, like, not that I wasn't going to be a Christian, because my Christianity isn't tied with my gifting or with my talent. Those are separate in my opinion. But I felt like I felt like I was forgotten about. I think that's the best term I could use. Mm-hmm. I felt like as much knowledge as I have about the genre, I don't get asked about the genre enough. As much expertise that I have in production, I don't feel like, and of course everyone has their freedom. Everyone has, their taste, and everybody has control over whoever they want to work with. There's no rule, you got to work with this producer or that producer. But I'm like, man, as talented as I am as much resources that I have, I don't believe God gave me these things to only work with artists that don't give me satisfaction when I produce for them. And not to say that their songs aren't good, but I just have I have an aptitude that I'm trying to reach, that I believe that God has given me, and I don't feel like it's being exercised enough. And so and even with rapping, like, I feel like I'm not trying to be boastful, but I feel like I'm a decent MC that has improved over time, my song structure, my delivery, my voice. And so I feel like as much as that is improved, I would think that would make room for me in some way with even fellow MCs, but I haven't really seen that. And so, and of course, everyone has their different stories. So I'm not like this was happening or that was happening, but I feel like with the eighth, of course it's my eighth album, but I feel like the eighth son of Jesse, who was David. And so that's really where the album takes its form. I take First Samuel, I think it starts at 16 with David.
Yep.
And one day I actually was asked to preach a sermon at an outreach, during an outreach weekend that I was a part of. My family and I went to Richmond, Indiana. It's about an hour away from me. And I was asked to preach at this event. Just to give you an idea, it's like a older Caucasian church, and I'm like the only, black guy there. And so I'm trying to
token black guy.
So like I'm trying to figure this thing out. And of course, I always try to, you can tell from my songs, or you can tell, if you talk to me long enough, like I try to live by the word of God. I try to allow the word of God to control everything that I do, to influence everything I do. And so, with this sermon, I was like, well, I want to preach something that could, encourage this particular people group, that I'm dealing with in this particular culture, that if things aren't going the way that they want them to go, as I'm experiencing, that is not it. It's not over. It might mean you might have to make a shift, or you might have to do something different, but it's not over. God, as long as you're alive, God has not forgotten about you. And so that led me to just the story of David. But the more I read it, the more I realized, man, I really identify with David. Even though I've been rapping for so long, I feel like the youngest kid that is back tending the sheep and is not considered for the kingmanship. Like that's how I feel in this genre. And I can't really explain it all why, but it's like, you kind of can feel certain things. You deal with certain people that you used to deal with, and it's like you get treated different. Like I felt that, like in Christian rap, I hate to say this, but Christian rap has an honesty problem. Like I've dealt with this, like in some years back, like when I was being requested to produce for certain albums, I send beats to people, and if they don't like a beat, rather than them telling you they don't like the beat, they just don't reply. And it's like, why is that? When we're Christians, when we're supposed to live by this whole, thou shalt not lie. I mean, everybody knows that, but it's not that you're lying, but it's like, why can't we just man up and sharpen people as iron sharpens iron? And so I felt like that behavior, along with a lot of other things, it's just a pattern that I've seen over time, and it's hurt me, because it's like, I'm trying to deal with people who I consider to be friends, and it's like, man, this person isn't reaching back to me. I thought we were better than that. I thought we were cool, and now our relationship is kind of weird, because whenever I come around, there's this thing in between our relationship, this non-communication factor, which has made me feel like David. And so I write about, though, in my album, I basically take the story of David from him tending the sheep, being out with the sheep, dirty job, a job that the people that of low stature do. However, it was him tending the sheep. That's what prepared him to slay the giant. He wouldn't have been able to kill Goliath if he didn't wrestle with the bears, and if he didn't wrestle with the lions. And so that's what I encourage people with this album. It's like, yo, everybody has a giant they have to face. And so with that giant, you have to trust God that he is preparing you no matter what's going on in your life. If it's going the way you want it, if it's not going the way you want it, you have to trust God that he is preparing you for that giant moment to slay that giant, that God will be glorified through that. So that's basically what the album is about. And there's a third eighth, which biblically the number 8 symbolizes new beginning. And so I felt like with the beat battle, it's like I had to kind of reintroduce myself, like, hey y'all, I'm K-Drama, and not that I gotta poke my chest out. I don't feel like I should have to, but it's like, hey, I haven't went anywhere. Like, remember me? Remember, I can do this, I can do that, and I would love to be used by God in somebody's ministry. It doesn't have to be everybody, and I don't have to be the hottest producer in the game, but I feel like I should be working with certain people because that's what God has gifted me to do.
Wow. That's real, bro. Listen, man, listen, dude. Listen. There's a lot of people who probably feel very similar to how you feel, but either they can't articulate it or they don't feel comfortable articulating it. And then I think that there's freedom in that honesty, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why are these things happening seemingly for no reason? You know what I mean? And I remember, man, I'm thinking a bit about some of this, and I remember, I think the last interview we did was around the time you were releasing Winds and Waves. Right? Yeah. And I was you were just leaving the cross movement situation, and you felt like, man, my association with them may have had some impact on some other people. Exactly. And do you still feel that way? Like, do you still to this day think, man, like, that association has caused some people to just say, I'm just not going to deal with K-Drama?
I honestly do. I still believe it. I don't know. And I write about it on my album, like, very candidly. You would know what I'm talking about if you hear it.
Yep.
But I talk about, I'm like, what happened? Like, what did I do? Like, me, whatever was going on with cross movement, I feel like, A, I didn't know about half of the stuff. B, that has nothing to do with me. Like, if we have a relationship, this ain't Crips and Bloods. This ain't Kojic and Baptist. This isn't, AFC, NFC. This is Christianity. This is the body. Why are we beefing?
At least it should be, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I don't know, but it just seemed like certain people I used to deal with, and it's not the people who, like, people might be listening and trying to speculate. It's not who you think it is. It's other people who I felt like, I used to talk to, I used to run with, I used to be able to hit them up for a feature, and they would, send me 16 bars in a week. And I know things change, and I know people have families, and I know a lot of circumstances change, but sometimes you could just discern, like, man, something ain't right. Like God gives Christians discernment, and sometimes for me it's to a fault. Like, what for me, at the end of the day, I have to know that my validation is in God. It's not in any feature I can do. It's not in any association that I can have, because, to be honest, signing with Cross Movement, I felt like was going to give me that validity, which it did to some extent. Like, because you got to see, people don't understand this. Like, I've been through a lot in Christian rap, and I'm finally starting to be a little vocal about it, because, like you said, like, there's freedom in that honesty. Like, I'm not trying to sound like this bitter MC, because I'm not. I'm a very joyful person, but I would be lying to you if I didn't wrestle with these thoughts. And so for me, like, I thought that I was going to find this validation in Cross Movement, because Cross Movement was known for their weighty theology. That's what they were known for. And for me, like, I don't know why, but we went through this period where if you didn't, sound like you were going to Bible college, you weren't a Christian rapper.
Right.
Like, that's what we went through. And I was like one of the main people who used to get shot at. Like, I had Christian rappers who used to say, this is what one told me specifically. He said, I love your music, but I cannot tell what your theology is based on your music.
Wow.
That's what I was told.
Wow.
And this was like 2007. And so for me, that hurt, because I'm like, there are different theological differences, of course. But at the end of the day, there are certain truths that every believer should believe. It's not about, if you can wear a hat in the sanctuary or not. It's not about, if you believe somebody is already predestined to go to heaven or not. There are certain things that we can argue about because we honestly don't have it all figured out. We're human, we're finite, and we're not perfect. But a lot of Christian rappers, especially in that era, they were walking around like if you didn't believe that theology, you were a heathen. Mm-hmm. And I was a part of that. And so it really, to be honest, Wade, it hurts me now that it's like totally flip-flop now. It's like now I'm too theological when if I could be frank, like now I'm saying Jesus too much in my music. And to be honest, for me, if I say Jesus in my music, it's because I want to say Jesus in my music. It's not, I don't call myself a Christian rapper because it's like I'm trying to carry the banner for CHH. Like I love CHH and I love what it represents, but to be honest, I don't care if you call yourself a Christian rapper or a rapper who's Christian. What is your music about at the end of the day? Like that's where I'm at. But a lot of guys, they weren't like that, especially 5-6 years ago. But it's funny how things have changed. And so like I write about that on this album. Like I write about how now people are jumping ship, and I write about how people are switching it up because of course certain people have switched it up. And so and for me, I'm like, well, certain people who switched it up were led by God probably to switch it up. But other people who might be switching it up may not be led by God. They may just be led by their emotions. It's like, he's doing what I felt all along. And so like it really hurts, Wade, when I wish there was some way we could have this conversation. Like there was a time where I was rebuked for my rhymes. And now I feel like a lot of rappers rap the way I rap still, or how a lot of other rappers rap. And it's like, where did the shift come? And why isn't there any humility to go along with that shift? Like, that's the real. Like, and I feel like those are conversations that are being held in behind closed doors that people are afraid to talk about. And you're starting to hear people, say stuff here and there now, but and it's almost like, and not that I want a civil war to happen. Like, I don't want it to be like Marvel or something. And you got, all these characters fighting against each other. But long as these things exist in Christian hip hop and in the body, there's going to be a certain level of division that we cannot overcome until we're honest with ourselves. Like, that was a little prideful for me to judge you based on something that was really superficial that now I understand and now I do in my own music.
That's good, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Let me ask you this, bro. Like some of the, I guess, people who have kind of adopted this weird attitude towards you or whatever the case may be, have you been able to even have conversations with them about some of this stuff?
Nah, and to be honest, like there are people who I've not necessarily tried to reach out to, because to be honest, like these are thoughts that I have, but I don't walk around, at least I don't think I do. Maybe I do, and maybe I need to, do some Matthew 18 and reach out to people. But like I walk around, I don't think about this stuff until I guess I'm treated a certain way. It's like it's too late at this point. Like there are artists who I was going to feature with. I've asked for features, and it's like and different, not just features. It's not just features. It is, some stuff is really silly, and other stuff is like it's like, man, why did that happen? But it's like after it happens, I try to keep that communication going. And it's like, then that's when it's too late. It's like, I can't get a hold of this person. I can't email this person. I can't text this person. And it's like, all right, I'm going to have to run into you at an event. And for me, it's like, man, how often is that going to happen? Especially when different people have different tour schedules and different things like that. So I would love to though. I wish that, I could be really frank. Like, cause I feel like I have, like, and I don't want to be petty, Like, I don't want to sound like I'm petty, but I feel like my story, I feel like God has really positioned me in a special place in Christian rap. Like, I get along with a lot of people. Like, it's kind of weird. And I've always gotten along with the different camps. Like, it's always like I'm this middle guy. It's like, but which has kind of hurt me in a sense, because it's like I've tried to be associated, you know, with different groups, and I tried being associated with cross movement, which ended the way it ended. And so, but I wish I could have these conversations, because I feel like God could use my conversation to shift some attitudes in Christian hip hop. I feel like my story, and which is why I kind of write about it on this album, we'll see what happens, but I feel like it can really change the climate of Christian hip hop. I really honestly feel that, because I feel like God has I have enough influence, I have enough of a fan base to where I can make a little noise if I put enough effort into it, and if God blesses it, you know, it's nothing without the Lord's hand on it. And so I feel like, though, that not for the sake of CHH, but for the sake of God's glory, that I think there needs to be some housekeeping in Christian hip hop, and some stuff that I unfortunately have experienced, and then there's some stuff I'm watching from the sidelines. But it's like, at the end of the day, we have to do some house cleaning, and it's not just Christian hip hop. It's just period. It's just the body of Christ. And I feel like if we could do some of this little housekeeping stuff, it'll manifest itself in bigger arenas, like the political world, like the bigger entertainment world. Like, I feel like some stuff we're trying to do, it may not go as far as we want it if we don't have a heart check. And that's just me being real. Like, I would love to have that conversation. I'm not afraid at all. And that's why I say it on this album. I'm like, if you want to have a conversation with me, let's have it, because I'm ready. Like, otherwise I wouldn't have said the stuff I said on my album. Because if I'm gonna say something on my album, I'm gonna back it up. Like, that's just me. Like, I'm never gonna say something that I can at least explain to you, whether you agree with it or not. I'm gonna at least be able to stand by and say, this is why I said that.
Wow. How do you feel about Christian rap, just like the current state of it, bro? Like, do you think it's in a healthy place? Do you think it's in an unhealthy place? Just how do you feel about it, man?
Christian rap is always weird to me. Like, it's always, I think it's just sin, period. Like, it just manifests itself in different ways. It's like that little game you play at Chuck E. Cheese where it's like one pops up, you hit that, and then another one just pops up somewhere else. It's like, there's always something with Christian hip hop, but unfortunately it's because there's always sin manifesting itself in some way, whether it's through an ego, or it's through an affiliation, or it's through, should we do this or should we do that? Like, there's always something that goes on. And so I feel like Christian hip hop, from a sonic place, it's weird. Like, I feel like the quality is better, but I don't feel like the songs carry the weight. And maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just because I'm stuck in the 2000s. Maybe I'm stuck in the 90s. Like, so I don't want to put it on people like, yo, like, music isn't better. But I feel like, for me, like, the songs, although they sound better sonically, I don't feel like the songs, a lot of songs, I won't say every song, because there are some really great songs in Christian hip hop, but I feel like a lot of the songs don't carry the significance or the weight, or they don't change the culture like some songs, like you think about songs like Don't Waste Your Life, like, yeah, that changed the culture. When you think about Jesus music, that changed the culture. Like, I can go Buck. I can think about all these songs in Christian hip hop that have, like, Joyful Noise. Like, you think about Holy Culture Radio naming their website after the album Holy Culture. Like,
that's crazy, right?
It's crazy. Still to this day, and half the people who may go to Holy Culture may not even realize why is it called Holy Culture. Yeah. And it's like, man, because of this really great cross movement album, like, we're gonna live forever, you know, all this stuff, man. Like, and I don't want to sound nostalgic, so it's like, because I love progression. I love going forward. So I love the sound. I love that we can compete. And I use the word compete. I feel like we do compete with worldly hip hop these days. And not that we're really trying to compete in a sense like, yeah, Christian hip hop. Like, it's more about, I think, God using each individual collectively and individually within hip hop and within music, to make banging music that allows them to create relationships with certain people. So, like, for me, for instance, I make the song Arthur Agee. I send the song to Arthur Agee. Arthur Agee, in turn, likes the song. He's like, this is dope. We need to shoot a video. Now we're building a relationship. And I didn't have to say, yeah, I'm a rapper. I didn't have to hide that I'm a Christian rapper, because it's like, that's just who I am, and I'm going to look goofy if I try to hide that. Like, but it's not something that I have to just wear on my chest every time. Because, to be honest, the reason why I used to call myself a Christian rapper is because you couldn't rap at churches without calling yourself a Christian rapper. Like, if you called a church up and say, hey, I would like to rap for your youth, I do rap music, they hang up the phone if you don't put Christian in front of it, because they think you sound like all the rappers on BET. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And MTV and VH1. And so, and people don't know that about the history of Christian rap. Like Cross Movement, man, them dudes was reaching cats, and they were unashamed of the gospel. Like, they didn't have to hide.
The first time I saw Cross Movement, heard their music, was on BET Rap City.
Same here. Yeah. Same here. Like, I remember seeing a video, and that was when I was listening to Bone Thugs and Harmony, and I was super on Master P, like No Limit, and then Cash Money was coming up, and that's what I was listening to. But to be honest, Cross Movement, it was just dope. It looked dope. They sounded good, and I was pulled in. And so that, I think, to be honest, so many Christian rappers are concerned about, man, am I going to be accepted by the world? I need to take this out because they're not going to like that. And there are times where you do need to be wise as a serpent and gentle as a dove. But there are other times where I know it feels uncomfortable for somebody to remove a certain thing out of a song. It don't even have to be Jesus. It might be some Christianese language, or it might, like, you don't have to do that. All you have to do is be authentic, and you're not going to reach everybody. You're not going to reach every single person out there. Someone's still going to hate your music, even if you remove all those things. But you'll be more respected if you be yourself within your content. And that's what I try to encourage people, because, like, people don't know what I do behind the scenes. Like, doing Christian rap is great. It's awesome. I love it. But there are bigger things out there for me. Like, there's more pieces to the puzzle than just Christian rap. And so I rap, I use my platform to rap at prisons. I use my platform to rap at schools. I've been rapping at schools as long as I've been rapping. Like, the first time I started rapping, I was rapping with a secular institution called 3 Square Music Foundation. And they used to play all this booty shaking music, and they used to be rapping crazy stuff. And I was the little Christian rapper that would come out there saying Jesus. And guess what? They respected me. And I was rapping in the hood. Like, I'm talking about, we was rapping, like, Cincinnati ain't no joke. Like, we ain't Cleveland and we ain't some other places, but Cincinnati pop off. Like, it's kind of wild here in certain areas.
Columbus either.
Right. You know, Columbus is crazy. And so, shout out to the 614. But yeah, like, I got my training in my stomping grounds in doing outreach music. So I know what it takes to reach people. Like, I know that you can use your platform and you can make a song about whatever you want, long as God inspired, and it'll reach somebody who's not a Christian, because it's more than just the lyrics, it's more than the beat, it's the power of God that flows through our music. And people forgot about that in Christian rap. It's like, it's more than just trying to look good and sound good. Like, that's only part of it. Like, we have to rely on the Spirit of God to transcend our songs so that it can reach people. And so I feel like the music is sounds great, but I feel like it's a lot of I don't even realize it, because I don't listen to a lot of worldly music. Like, I know Paul used to go and he would go to Athens. You know, we used to use that argument all the time, you know, in justifying, you know, listening to some of us got caught up in it, and that's why I can't do it. Like, I listen to worldly music, it'll change how I behave. Like, and that's why I have to watch myself. If someone else can do it, that's cool. I don't knock them for doing it. But for me personally, like, words are so powerful. Like, they influence how I think and how I behave. And so, like, I feel like a lot of people in Christian, and this has always happened though, like people copy so much, like it's not even funny. Like you'll hear a song, and not that we can't have influences, because I have influences. We all have influences. But I feel like we got to get to a point where we have our own identity, and we're not just copying off of what Drake's doing or what Kendrick's doing. Like we got to have our own sound. Not that it won't sound like that person's sound per se, but there's a difference between biting and being inspired. So that's my take on it.
Man, that's real talk, brother. That's real talk, man.
I appreciate it.
Man, yo, bro. What else do you have planned for the rest of this year, bro? Like, you thinking about touring? What's on your heart after this album drops?
So this album, man, it's kind of, I'm scared, man, to be honest. There's a lot riding on this album. I put my reputation on the line, for real. If I could be straight 100, like I when you hear the album, it's that deep. Like I really, like Winds and Waves was transparent, but I feel like this is on a whole nother level of transparency. Like I really dig deep into my soul, and I just clean out my closet. And I, even to the end of the album, I take the focus off of those who hurt me, and I put the focus on the people who I hurt. And so I talk about, I feel like not that I did what David did, with Bathsheba, but like I've had those David Bathsheba moments where, and we've all had them, where we were on the rooftop when we were supposed to be in battle, and we ended up falling, into sin. And so, to be honest, like I feel like in Christian rap, like I'm like, at one point I felt like I was like, is God punishing me for some stuff that I've done, like some dark secrets that I don't reveal to the world? Like, is that why I'm not where I think I should be at? And when I say where I should be at, it's not necessarily rapping, like doing what Lecrae's doing. Like that's not my motto, but I know at the end of the day, it's like there is a contentment I will have when I know I'm doing exactly what God has the vision that God has given me. I'll know what it is when I'm doing it. But I know I'm not all the way there yet. And so, like my goal, my ultimate goal is to do, I want to rap as much as I can, but I want to cut the production down. And it kind of alludes to earlier, I don't get the satisfaction. The money comes, the money's good, that's cool. But I'm not blown away by a lot of the stuff I produce. If I'm just being 100. And so, I would like to cut that time down, and I would like to use that time instead of producing. If I'm making enough, I don't make enough money just by rapping in order to do music full time. Like music production is my 9 to 5, and people don't get that. Like a lot of times I get hit up by people and they're like, man, K Drama, like he doesn't hit me back right away. And I'm like, man, I'm a rapper and a producer, like 100%. Like I'm 100% producer, I'm 100% rapper. So it's like doing two things. Cause it is doing two things. So if I'm not doing one, I'm doing the other, which has kind of hurt me in some ways, because I was producing beats instead of making albums. And I think that's part of why I got forgotten about, cause it's like, dang, what you do in 3 years? Like, I could tell you I sold 300 beats, but I can't tell you a song that I made that changed the culture. And so for me, what I want to do is I want to take that time and I want to volunteer at prisons where they're not going to pay me. I want to volunteer at rec centers and schools where they may pay me, but I don't want to have to rely on their money to do it. I just want to do it because I'm blessed to do it. Like that's my goal, man. I feel like God can use me in these trenches, like where only few go. And so I'm really praying on that, and I'm trying to position myself to do that. So this album hopefully will start the financial, journey, with being able to walk away from music production a little bit. And then, Sade, my wife is dropping, she's dropping her EP in May. So that's the next, so I'm really excited about her. A lot of people have been waiting. She's been really, of course, if you live in Cincinnati, you know it more. Like she's been building a huge buzz, like in the gospel kind of, cause it's hard to put her in a genre, but like she in the gospel genre, she's really been like making some waves. A lot of the singers respect her voice. And so, we've just been trying to make a dope quality project, because everybody always asks her after the concert, like, yo, you got a CD? And she's like, nah, I'm working on it. And so, the recording of it is done. We just got to mix it. So I'm really excited about her. And then, I'm working on a compilation album. I used to do them all the time. I used to do, Serious Series. I did 3 of those with Theory Has It. I did, Certified Street Bangers. Dre Murray was on that back in 2003, or 2004. And so I want to start doing compilation albums again and I don't have a title for it yet, but I'm working on that. I'm just hitting up different artists and seeing if they'll jump on some songs with other artists. And then at the end of the year, D-Mob and I are going to drop our album. We are going to drop. Finally. We got to, man. Like, I'm excited, man. We got a lot of stuff in store. And we give people a snippet of what the album will sound like. On my album, it's called The Heart. We take 1 Samuel 16:7 and basically make a whole song about how, man looks on the outside, but God looks at the heart. So,
sure.
So yeah, that's pretty much, that song is a good representation of what our sound is going to sound like, on our album. And hopefully those things really, I'm really trying, ultimately I want to start a label. And so I'm hoping, like, I'm trying to think of a label name right now. And I got a couple artists that I got my eye on that I've been building with. So I'm hoping, if they feel like they need my services, because these days, you can just do the independent route, and, that's what I did. So I definitely encourage it, but I feel like I got a lot I can offer an artist, wisdom, music production, studio time, all that stuff. And, they won't have to pay for it on the front end. And so, I feel like if I do those things, I feel like financially, it could set me up to where I could do some more ministry stuff. And that's really where my heart is. Like, the ministry stuff is what I really, like you say, it's more than music, it's ministry. Like, I really want to do the things that God has put on my heart, but it's hard when you got to make money and you got a family and you got 3 kids, you got a wife, you got a mortgage, you got, I don't have a car payment, thank God, but I probably need one because my car broke down, before this interview. I'm like, Jesus! So, need some help. But yeah, man, I'm excited though. I think God put this project on my heart, and I believe it's gonna reap some good rewards, and it'll help me to do what I really want to do. But if it doesn't work, I might hang it up, man. Like, I actually even talk about it on the album. I talk about, cause I do good in music. Like, I make a good living, but the thing is, I make a good living if it was just me, or if it was just me and Sade, no kids. But it's like when my wife is a homemaker and I bring in all the money. So it's like, without my wife and family, I'm balling. With them, we're below the poverty line. So it's kind of like, it's just crazy how that works. But I mean, we make it by because we imply a lot of ways to save money, a lot of ways to, from couponing to not having a car payment, a lot of different things we implement. But it just, the more that people, don't want to, I guess, they don't want to pay for services, or, streaming is cool, and I'm all for streaming because now we can at least get paid a little bit for some streaming as opposed to putting it on SoundCloud and SoundClick and not getting a cent from it. But at the same time, when people aren't buying the albums, it takes what? It's like 15,000 streams to equal one sale or some crazy number. And so it's like, those things have kind of changed the scope of the industry. And like I said, I do good on music production, but I applied for jobs last year. I was looking. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, and nothing worked out for me. Which could be, maybe God is like, just hang in there a little longer, or it might be, I just need to keep looking. But, I believe that God is, leading me, and, I believe that it'll all work out. So next time we talk, hopefully it'll be like, yeah, man, that album worked. I'm glad I did it. It went platinum, and now I don't have to produce music for people anymore. Like, I hope that's my story. Of course I'm exaggerating, but yeah, I hope the best.
Man, that's deep, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, bro, I really, truly appreciate your transparency and honesty in this interview, man, because I think it's going to help people. You know what I mean? Like,
Amen.
A lot of this stuff that you're wrestling through, not even just artists, people wrestle through in different areas of life, careers, all those different things, man. And I pray the Lord bless you for that, bro.
I appreciate it. And anybody who hear this interview, you want to know more, because people, man, the last one we did, man, people hit me up. They're like, man, that was deep. Like, that was, like, I welcome it, man. If you got a question, if something I said really popped out, and you're like, man, delve into that a little more. Because, of course, when I'm talking to you, I'm like, dang, I always feel like I'm talking too much. And I'll be like, I got to cut this down. There's so much I could say. But if someone, you know, hits me up, if I get enough questions about certain things, maybe I'll just Periscope or do a Facebook Live on it or something. But yeah, I'm willing to talk, man. I'm not one of those artists who is like, man, what I say is right and everything everybody else says is wrong. So yeah, please, I welcome it. I'm just a man trying to figure this out, and so I'm just relying on His grace. So definitely feel free to hit me up.
Man, absolutely, man. Hey, Drama, man, appreciate you, brother. New album, the 8th. Drops this coming Friday.
Yes, I appreciate you, bro.
And man, likewise, brother.
On the